Really excited about today, though. We are going to talk about the parasympathetic nervous system. And it is really what I feel like what acupuncture is all about, what essential oils, are all about, and the sound healing, even using acupressure. It's kind of what we all really strive for. And that is the balance between, your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So, what am I talking about? What that is. Our nervous system, we have our central nervous system, that's our spinal cord in our brain. And then peripheral is, everything else that kind of, here's your midline and everything else that kind of expands upon that and reaches every other, tissue and organ. And it's called, the peripheral nervous system. So you have your voluntary part of that peripheral nervous system. Hey, I want to pick up this phone, or, it's voluntary movement. And then you have the autonomic, it's involuntary. So it's all of your processes just happening behind the scenes. You're not thinking about it, your heart rate, your breathing, digestion, elimination, and all that's great. I'm so glad we don't have to think about it. But what happens with the autonomic nervous system is you have part of it is so that again is divided, the sympathetic nervous system. Now that is your fight or flight. So you need to be able to take off in case of, you come across a bear or an alligator or whatever. You need to be able to run or run away. That is your fight or flight, and it is the part of our nervous system that increases everything. So your heart rate goes up, your breathing goes up, but it shuts down your elimination. It shuts down your digestive system. So some of us get kind of stuck in this, though, when there isn't any danger, there isn't fear, there isn't anything to be afraid of, but we're still kind of, a little bit amped up or stressed. And so stress hormones like adrenaline are still running. And that's kind of what I experienced today. Like, oh my God, I'm late to this class. I can't believe it. How unprepared. I didn't have my stuff with me. So I'm driving, and then, I had to be stuck in this traffic. And so I know that my heart rate was going up. And so I was, in the sympathetic nervous system. So I really need to now increase my parasympathetic nervous system, and I will be doing that along with you today. So hopefully I will get more relaxed and feel calm, and my breathing will decrease and heart rate will go down, and also my muscle tone, because we get like kind of clenched, and the muscles that tend to do that are the upper shoulders and neck. And there is a point right at the highest point of your shoulder, and this is called gallbladder 21. And it gets super tight and stressed for a lot of people, and then it hikes up towards our ears, and we're breathing using a lot of these accessory muscles. And then, as you can see, my diaphragm, just by doing that, my diaphragm kind of raises, and then, you know what, I'm not going to get a full breath. So number one thing that you could do is to just try to just sigh or do a that is why we do that, the shoulder shrug. And it does just kind of relax you. You get that breathing, you get that breath in, and then you can lower that diaphragm, and your rib cage should be expanding, where it actually does expand when the diaphragm is going, and then it's going to suck in the air a lot deeper. So that is one way, is to sigh. And I believe I've talked about the sound of the liver is shh. So when you're shushing somebody or telling them, shh, be quiet, shh, that feels really good. And that's kind of releasing a little stress. Sometimes we need to make those sounds. So the sound that will express that and relieve some frustration and depression, irritability, and to help keep us in the parasympathetic realm. So parasympathetic is where the digestion now comes into play. We can rest, we can digest, we can eliminate. So if you want to have good digestion, we need to make sure that we have that nice balance and that we can be in the parasympathetic. So it might explain why some people have a hard time, losing, weight. That's just one, explanation. So stress can really play a role in a lot of our bodily functions that way. It kind of impedes that flow, keeps us in the sympathetic, the stress place. And let's see, make sure, yeah. So, we do need the sympathetic. I mean, because let's say I have a deadline and I need to get that report in. And let's say I thought it was due tomorrow, but I just found out, oh my gosh, I have 2 hours. So you're going to be kind of, under the gun. You're going to be doing whatever it is, researching, typing, getting it done, and sympathetic is kind of activated. But once it's turned in, you're not going to get fired. The fear is gone. You should be able to transition into the parasympathetic. So how can we do that? There's so many different ways, meditation, changing our perspective. And as I just mentioned, a couple different sounds that you can use, the sighing, the shushing, dropping your shoulders. But now essential oils. What happens with essential oils? They can help regulate this complex, messaging feedback loop, system. And there's so many essential oils. I mean, there's lists and lists, and if you read about it, there's really not just one oil, and there's many overlap with using oils. So if you're reading like some other blog post, or you're reading a book and it might have some uses for peppermint, well, there's so many uses for peppermint. It has many overlap. And that is because essential oils have like hundreds of chemical components, what they call chemical constituents. So it's okay, to have that. So just know that if you own 10 to 12 essential oils, I mean, you really have enough to do so much with. And I generally, recommend for, if you just want to use essential oils in your own home to stay healthy, to stay balanced, have about 10 to 12 is probably a good amount in your cabinet. And then over time, you can always get more, because there might be some other ones, like if you just want to have anything more specific, but there are some general, very widely used popular essential oils that, I mean, just to mix and match them, you can use for so many different things. So I just kind of am stressing that, I don't want you to feel stressed about it, or that you have to get so many. And I try to choose the ones that I'm thinking you might have, and that might be the most popular. And sometimes they're just not the best. So then I might introduce a new one. But it is up to you on what you want to hear, because I will bring in all kinds of essential oils if you want, but I'm really trying to make this so that you can apply it, so that you can use what you actually have in your home. So, essential oils, if we want to talk about frankincense, let's talk about this one first, because even though we're talking about the parasympathetic, but really in a nutshell, it's really everything. Your central nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic. I mean, it's just all kind of going back and forth in our body. And the frankincense is known to help your central nervous system. So it smells, love it. This is, good for your skin. It's good for so many things. But if you place it like on the back of your head, kind of thinking about your brain, like there's that little triangle, like when you lean your head back. I know I have, you couldn't see anyways if I turned around my hair, but your fingers just fall into that little triangle. Like if you bend your head back and you feel the bones in your neck, it's just right in the center at the base of your neck. That is a great place to put frankincense for just signaling the central nervous system, but also the spine, because see right there, it's the brain and the spine. So if you have frankincense, and if you don't use, it doesn't matter, but get your coconut oil if you're not using oils, because again, massaging these areas also is stimulating in and of itself. So I just want to massage that in. And if you get it even down the spine of your neck, hey, that's great, because that is part of the central nervous system, the spine, right there. You can also, if you reach like your sacrum,